hunting Curry. He's got Curry on the switch. Fox over to Barnes for the lead. And that's it. The Warriors survive.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Would appreciate a like on the video and a sub if you're interested in some more Warriors coverage. But let's jump into this game and see how the Warriors were able to tie this up 2-2. So Kings threw a haymaker to start. Man, they had a really good first half, but Warriors were able to bounce back in that second half and actually match the intensity and bring a much higher level of defense that were able to slow down the Kings in the second half. And the Warriors were struggling to contain the three ball, which has been their MO the entire season. I actually thought we got off to a decent start in the first half, minus the end of the second quarter. You know, we were limiting our turnovers. We were making tough shots. Steph and Clay were actually both going. Poole had some good minutes in the first half. He actually carried us and stretched us there by getting to the foul line, making some really tough threes. We're really going to need this Poole, you know, at least one more time, I think, before the series is over if we're going to have hopes to win, you know, 4 out of the 7 games. The Kings had their best shooting game of the series so far, shooting 40% from deep. Keegan Murray hitting 5 for 7 behind the arc, and Monk and Mitchell both giving double-digit scoring. I knew this game was coming for the Kings. They're too good offensively to have such a poor three-point shooting percentage overall, but what counteracted this was the Warriors were actually shooting 41% from 3, and we actually won the free throw battle this game specifically. The series has been incredible to watch just as a fan. You know, I think matchup for matchup, I think this is probably the best series so far in the Western Conference. It seems like these teams are so evenly matched, you know, number 1, number 2, and offensive, both, you know, relatively poor defensive showings throughout the regular season. So a lot of offensive explosion, a lot of De'Aaron Fox, a lot of Steph Curry. Man, it is just great television. Obviously, as a Warriors fan, I'm really hoping that they can win this series, but just again, as a NBA fan, this has been a lot of fun to watch. I also want to touch on De'Aaron Fox just a little bit more. Man, he deserves so much credit for how well he is playing in his first ever series. He's going against the defending champs. He is, you know, averaging, I think, 28 points, probably a little bit more with this game, probably closer to 30 through 4 games now. And his mid-range just looks unstoppable. I've watched a lot of Steph Curry over the past couple years. There are moments when Steph just gets in his zone when he's unstoppable. And to be honest, today I felt like that was De'Aaron Fox. He was hitting all the mid-range shots. His little floater was unstoppable. He was using screens extremely well. He was getting to the rim. It was like, how can we slow down Fox, or how can we get the ball out of his hands at least to have someone else try to beat us? Which is ironic because that's how the game ended. Let's jump to the fourth quarter. I thought our offense was pretty good. Steph and Clay were making huge shots. Clay actually had a really good game. He was keeping them at arm's length, and he was playing really good defense. So it was good to see Clay have a really big game. It felt like we were due for this, but he likes to show up at the end of the series. It was great to see him have such an impact on the outcome of this game. The other player I want to shout out to in this game is Poole. This was by far his best game, and he carried us in stretches there. He was able to get to the free throw line. He scored 22 points efficiently. He was doing what he normally does. You know, he is so fast and he's so crafty. He had a highlight play there where he was able to beat his man not once, not twice, but then Sabonis at the rim to drop it off to Kavan, I believe, for an easy dunk. Always love seeing flashy plays from Poole. And Draymond. Draymond was some vintage Defensive Player of the Year plays. He disrupted 2 fast breaks that normally end up in easy points for other teams. His ability to blow up plays or just play really tough defensively is why he is so special and would be incredibly hard to replace after he is done with his career or with the Warriors. All right, 5-point lead, 42 seconds left. Steph Curry takes a bonehead timeout. You know, I think Kerr said the right thing as far as, you know, he didn't let his players know we were out of timeouts. I also thought just before that, taking the challenge where Looney obviously was moving over a little bit and that wasn't going to be overturned. That was the last timeout for the team. He should have known better and let his players know emphatically, like, hey, we can't take a timeout here. All the games that I've watched Steph, I have never seen him call a timeout when they didn't have one. Now, he was in a tough situation. I actually don't blame him for calling that timeout, but it seemed like, you know, obviously it was on Kerr, but it seemed like some of the players too in a very crunch moment there should know, hey, do we have timeouts or not? Draymond also stepped up and said, you know, we all rushed across half court and left Steph to sort of fend for himself in the backcourt. Dre should have been that outlet pass for Steph. Instead, he had to go against a double team there, which instinctively he was like, let's just call a timeout so we can run a play. One thing that I didn't know is if you call a timeout and you don't have one, not only is it a technical shot, but you lose the possession as well. So after that was all said and done, Fox was able to hit a big three and cut it to 1-point lead for the Warriors. Warriors took it down. I thought Steph rushed the play maybe a little bit. Overall, you live with that floater. It was a really good look by Steph. Usually that goes down. And so now we have one defensive stop, if we're going to win this game, only up by 1. I thought the staff drew up a really good defensive play there to have Steph hedge really hard and then Draymond spring in at the very end and get the ball out of Fox's hand, because you live with someone else making that shot. You don't live with Fox taking the last shot, especially this game when he was feeling it. Again, it felt like he could not miss a floater, a mid-range, the big three right before, he was in the zone. So it was great to see the team step up and say, let's just get the ball out of Fox's hand and we'll live with the results. All right, let's talk about some of the role players for the Warriors and how they affected the game. Obviously role players play much better at home. So I'm really hoping that we can get some Warriors fans in Sacramento to just juice up the energy for the Warriors. Klay had his best game by far. He was a plus 22. He had 26 points, really efficient shooting, and he was playing really good defense as well. I thought without Klay, there was no way we would have won this game. And he was due too. He gave us a few clunkers there before. He's a big game player. And, this one being game 4, he's really caught a rhythm as far as just understanding his man, his offensive role, and it was no surprise that he had a really big game in game 4. Wouldn't be surprised as well if he has another big one in Sacramento. Wiggins also chipped in 18 efficiently as well. He had 4 blocks too. 2 of them were just those chase down backboard blocks, which are always fun to watch because it gets your team out and it's an easy transition play, and the Warriors typically score on transitions. That is one of the most effective plays for them, just to get out and run, whether it's a 3 or whether it's a easy layup by one of our guys. It was really cool to see Wiggins have such a strong defensive impact on the entire game. I'm going to say just one more time, All-Star Wiggs is back, and again, we can't do this without Wiggs. He was our second best player last playoff run, so excited to see that he shook off the rust, and he drew a really hard defensive assignment. But I think after 3 games now with the 4th under his belt, he is going to play Fox or whoever he's guarding really well, and I think that gives us a really good shot to win the series. All right, last thing here, Jonathan Kuminga. Unfortunately, I think the moment is just too big for him. He got some early minutes. I think it was like roughly 3 minutes and he was a -8. Could not defend Fox. He wasn't bringing the energy defensively, and he just sort of looks lost out there offensively. Now, it's probably a rhythm thing. He hasn't played enough in the series to really feel out, how can I have an impact offensively? But it's just sad to see that, it just doesn't seem like he has a high enough IQ now to play in this series. Now, if we advance from the series, are we going to need him, moving forward? Of course. He's always going to get a shot in any series, but I think in this one specifically, it just feels like it's not a good matchup for him mentally, because physically it would be a great matchup. What are his best attributes? He gets to the rim, and that's something that he's not able to do in this series, even though Kings have very little to no rim protection, and he's so quick and athletic. So unfortunate to see. Maybe we'll get, a few good minutes out of Kuminga in these next couple games, but I wouldn't count on it. All right, we have game 5 in Sacramento. Like I said before, I really hope some Warriors fans can travel, juice up our guys, at least give them a little bit more energy than game 1 and game 2. It's definitely going to be the biggest game of the series now that it's a best of 3. Typically, the team that wins game 5 ends up winning the series if it's tied 2-2. So if we can steal this one, I genuinely believe we can go home and close this out. Appreciate you guys. If you have any comments, leave them below. Happy to respond. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.